Hi, I'm Dr. Rene Hackney. Welcome to our talk on All About Praise. We're going to talk about the difference between descriptive versus evaluative praise, and we're going to talk about the importance of praising children, catching the good behaviors. So often when parents comment on behaviors, it's just when the behaviors are bad. Let them share a toy, let them work it out, and we walk right by. We finish making lunch. Let them grab a toy or grab somebody and we are all over them. We give it attention, we give it language. The message to that child over time is, wow, one negative thing I do gets more attention than 5 positives combined. You may mildly reinforce the negative behaviors just by the amount of attention they get. So the idea is you want to notice and describe their good behaviors. When a child hands a toy or when a child works hard on their homework, you want to give that some feedback to reinforce it to happen more often. Now, in the moment, the idea is to give descriptive praise. Descriptive praise is describe the behavior and label. You handed a block, that was helpful. You listened the first time, that was quick. The you handed a block, you listened the first time, even you wrote 5 whole sentences, that was a lot of work. The description at the beginning, you handed a block, you listened the first time. That's what directly reinforces it to happen again. And then they say give it a label that was helpful, brave, smart, persistent, kind, cooperative, whatever it was. You handed a block, that was helpful. The labels, the helpful and kind, it shapes the behavior in the long run. The more the child thinks of themselves as helpful and kind, the more you get of those behaviors. And so the idea is marry that together. You handed a block, the direct reinforcement, that was helpful, shapes it in the long run. For their academics, you wrote 5 whole sentences, that was a lot of work. For their athletics, you all got the ball all the way down the field, you were working together. This is a lot of language, but it's meant to reinforce the behavior, both directly and in the long run. When we teach this to preschool teachers, we say, by all means, this is contagious. When teacher says to Johnny at the front of the line, wow, Johnny, you're standing so nicely with your hands by your side, half the class goes, ooh, because they want to be a part of that praise. And it's completely fine to use it that way as contagious within a classroom or out on the soccer field. It's fine on the soccer field to go, you were working hard, you were paying attention, and hope that rubs off on the other kids. As a parent, though, this is against the rules. You're not allowed to praise one to curb their brother. So you're not allowed to go, wow, Johnny, look how neatly you keep your room, and then glare at the brother. They are hating each other in that moment. Obviously, not good to be the one that got knocked. Not good to be the one that got praised either. There's a need to stay on top. There's a need to keep others down. And so it just highlights that imbalance in sibling rivalry. As a parent, your intent should be clean. You're describing something this child did to praise them, not to curb their sibling. There's also a warning with all this descriptive praise for those of you with 2-year-olds. So 2-year-olds, maybe young, maybe older 2s, they go through a phase of saying no all day long and often at the same time doing the opposite of what you say. So you say up and they say down, just to do the opposite. This is a healthy stage of 2-year-old development where they say no to everything and they do the opposite. They're learning a sense of self versus others. They're learning to separate from and have an opinion and that you kind of have to deal with them when they have this opinion. And so it's actually healthy. But when you catch a 2-year-old being good this way, it can entirely backfire. When you say to the little 2-year-old, wow, you are right in the kitchen where you belong, they go, living room, and off they run. And it backfires. And so you might wait until they're a little bit older to do this descriptive praise, or you might do the descriptive praise after. On your way out of the kitchen, you turn and say to them, you stayed in the kitchen the whole time. That was so helpful because now you're leaving. So they don't have to continue doing that behavior. It can also be later for older kids. When you're tucking a child into bed at night, you can highlight something that happened earlier in the day. You can say, wow, at the playground I saw you shared a toy with that friend that was so kind of you. When you're saying you shared a toy with that friend, even if they don't remember what happened at the playground, you're describing it enough so that they can pair that together with the behavior. Now, all of this is descriptive praise. You handed a block, that was helpful. It focuses on their effort, their process, their progress, the details. Let's say a child practices a piano song all week and plays you this song. Focused on their effort, you worked on that song all week. Their process, you learned every note. Their progress, you knew it better this week than last. The details, I knew that song right when you started. I could recognize it. Just opening the conversation. What was the easiest part of that song? What was the hardest part of that song? All of that is seen as being descriptive praise. It brings your attention to that wanted behavior. Now, the folks who research on praise say this is the thing to do. And what you want to avoid is called evaluative praise. Now, evaluative praise is tricky because it sounds nice. It sounds like what we all grew up with, and it's way easier than descriptive praise. But what they want you to avoid when you praise your children sounds like this. Good job. You're such a good boy. That was so great. Thank you so much. I really like that. I like the way I am so proud of you. This kind of good job feel, this cheerleader praise. There's lots of reasons they want you to avoid. The first is it's really vague. Child does a series of behaviors, say good job, and they don't know what behavior you're talking about. It doesn't get the behavior in there, so it's not as likely to reinforce. It also focuses on the outcome. Good job, you're a good boy. Over time, this labeling things as good, kids start to rely on hearing it. Every once in a while, I'll be at the preschool and I'll say, wow, look at you. You've been over here a long time working on this picture. And they go, is it pretty? Yeah, it's pretty, honey. Do you like it? They're looking for that little pat on the back, that cheerleader praise, and it's likely just because that's what they're hearing often. And so the idea is you want to shift that more to the descriptive. Let's say a child practices that piano song all week and plays you a song. Evaluative, what a pretty song, I like that. You're talking about 2 minutes of performance rather than a whole week of effort or all that process or all that progress they made. So it's not as likely to reinforce the effort that needs to go into the future songs. This idea with evaluative versus descriptive is you want to be building what's called intrinsic ownership or intrinsic motivation for behavior. You want the child to take ownership. You handed a block, that was helpful. Yes, I did, is from the view from the child's perspective. When you say, good job, I really like that, it's due for me, it's due for the caregiver. And the idea is they're not as likely to take ownership of that behavior because the praise isn't directed toward their ownership. And so this is the difference between descriptive versus evaluative praise. And when you're praising children, you want to be descriptive. You handed a block, that was helpful. Now, if you are that parent who does the evaluative often, I know when my girls were little, my husband must have said good job, 20 times a day. And so that idea when he says good job, good job, good job, which is kind of falling on deaf ears over time, you want to just follow that up with what got the comment. So he would say, good job, you handed a block. Good job, you listened the first time. And that's fine, but eventually you want to shift those around. So he would say, and probably still would say today, you got that ball all the way down the field, you all were working hard, good job. Okay, married together, fine, but the idea is you really want to get that behavior in there first, and you want to be more descriptive and less evaluative over time. This is what tends to reinforce the behavior, and it tends to be more effective in your praise. If you have any questions, I'm on Facebook every Tuesday night from 10 to 11 p.m. on Parenting by Dr. Rene. I'm happy to take your questions there. Thank you so much.